Jay here, Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm live from my kitchen, and the weather in sunny Salford it's mild, maybe a little bit cloudy. Get involved in the comments. Going to be talking about Manchester United and Casemiro. Casemiro being linked with a move to Galatasaray, a low move following what has been described as a horror show against Liverpool. That 3-0 loss to Liverpool seems to have pushed Casemiro further out the exit door. We'll be getting into that one. Also, Manchester United have got a goalkeeper from Arsenal, an Arsenal youngster, so we'll be getting into that as well. Plus, Graham Souness talk about Kobbie Mainoo. I know Steve did a brilliant job of sort of hammering Graham Souness and a few others for their idiotic comments, but I'll mention that as well. But make sure you guys are getting involved in the comments. Good to see loads of people already here as well. The usual suspects: Witterbird, Ross Murphy, Duncan D's Nuts, Jacoya Trott, Ines Fushi, Jack Ladd, Kevin Aitchison. No Parker today, no Parker. Morning to all you guys as well. What doesn't kill you, says Morning Jay. Not sure losing another midfielder is a good idea. I hear that. Let's get into this story, right? Because I thought basically after the Liverpool game, regardless of what you thought of Casemiro's performance, I didn't think we were going to get rid of him this summer. I thought, well, that was the end. You know, the idea of that was just a non-starter, and I thought it was going to be a case of Ugarte comes in and Casemiro is basically back up to Ugarte. The question for me was, how reliable can he be even as a backup? I know that sounds harsh on a player that has won as much as Casemiro has won, one of the most successful defensive midfielders in history, if you think about the amount of Champions Leagues he's won. But can you rely on him if he's having stinkers like that? And this has been going on for some time. I pointed out on, I think it was a Paddock podcast, that after the Brentford game, if you remember last season's Brentford game at Old Trafford, where we had those two late Scott McTominay goals that turned the game around, people were saying then Casemiro looked done. He looked like he was sort of in decline. That was a year ago. I think we're just under a year ago. So it is a bit of a worry. However, first of all, Morris Marshall, thank you for joining the membership. Extra content on the membership section. Go and check that out, but not now. Stick around for this one. Hit that like button as well, please, people. Smash a like, as they say. We want to get as well to 800,000 subs, so if you're not subscribing, please do. So it says here, there's loads of stories. It's in the Manchester Evening News. They've quoted, I think, if I can find it, sorry, bear with me. They're basically, they had it in their rolling blog, saying that basically reports, I think, were coming out of Ali Naki Kukuk, saying that Galatasaray in talks with United over a one-year loan move for Casemiro. The Metro have gone big on it as well. They're saying Galatasaray in talks to sign Casemiro from Man United after Liverpool horror show. As I said earlier, that's their description, not mine. Although I'm not going to say it was a good performance, because it wasn't. It says here, Galatasaray in talks with United over a loan move for Casemiro, according to reports in Turkey. While the Premier League transfer window slammed shut last Friday, Turkish Super League clubs remain free to do business until the 13th of September. Then goes on to talk about the poor game that Casemiro had. I don't need to go over that again. We all know. It says Turkish journalist Ali Nashi Kusuk, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Forgive me if I'm butchering that one. Reports the Turkish Giants are keen to sign the former Real Madrid star on a season-long loan deal as they seek to strengthen their own options in the middle of the park. Then goes on to say, obviously, he can move, and mentions the fact that we have got Ugarte. Also says here, Galatasaray have already strengthened their squad since the closure of the English window, signing Victor Osimhen on loan from Napoli after his deadline day move to Chelsea failed to go through. Despite his worrying form, any move for Casemiro would leave United short of options in midfield. It would. And Toby Collier came on and he did an admirable job. I think I gave him 6 out of 10 in my ratings. I was being a bit kind there, probably, just because I felt a bit sorry for the youngster. Making your debut in a game like that, 2-0 down against the Scousers at home, it's a baptism of fire in every sense of the word. My sort of point is, can you just rely on Toby Collier and Manuel Ugarte, who's still not kicked a ball for Manchester United, as your only players who can play in that sort of defensive midfield role? I know you could put Kobbie Mainoo there, but that doesn't suit him. Not on his own, in my opinion. Also, you could feasibly try putting Bruno there, or even Mason Mount when he's back to full fitness. I don't think Christian Eriksen's that guy, but you could try it. It's not great, is it? So, I don't know. The idea that Manchester United could go into sort of the end of September with what, 3 fewer midfielders than we had last season? Or, well, we lost. Just bear with me. We didn't renew Sophie Amrabat. I would have, purely for that FA Cup final performance. I know I've lost my head with it, but I did, and I would have given him just for that. And I thought towards the end of the season, he showed signs of being a Manchester United player. However, I understand the fact that for the bulk of his United move, he wasn't great. So I can see why the club didn't, even though if it was up to me, we would have done. Scott McTominay's gone out. He made his move to Napoli. Now you talk about losing Casemiro. So that's 3 midfielders that you had last season that played minutes. 2 of them started the FA Cup final, right? Let's not forget that. That's 3 you've got potentially going out the door, and only 1 coming in Emmanuel Guy. It seems a little bit risky to me to do something like that, to leave yourself so short in midfield, because if Emmanuel Guy gets injured, then you've got no one. Now, the question is, can you rely on Casemiro at all? I mean, we've got a lot of games coming up. You've got Barnsley in the Carabao Cup. You've got FC 20, Rangers, and all the rest of it in the Europa League. Plus you've got the league games. You need options. Now, for me, I just feel like getting rid of Casemiro, despite his faults, right now, when you can't bring anyone else in, is a little bit risky. He's a little bit too risky for me. And I've not been his biggest fan for about a year now. I'll be honest with you. I've been questioning Casemiro. I like the guy. I think he's a nice geezer or whatever. But I just don't know if he's good enough for Manchester United. And I think you look at where United want to be. This is my issue with Casemiro. And I will move on shortly because I think we've hammered the point of Casemiro. Forgive me. I wanted to move on today, but this story came up. You look at Casemiro and you look at our rivals. Look at the teams that are going for top 4. The teams that are going for top 4, City and Arsenal, pretty much, I think they're destined to get it, unfortunately. You've got Liverpool, you've got Spurs, you've got, maybe you could throw Chelsea in there. I know they're a bit erratic. Villa. You look at those teams and you think, okay, would Casemiro get in those teams? This current version of Casemiro, I don't think he'd get anywhere near those teams, personally. Can we afford to have players that are not good enough for our rivals and yet we're trying to finish above them? Doesn't make any sense to me. Let me know what you think. Destino Portugal says, morning, Jay. After his wife's Insta post, the writing was on the wall. Good to see him go, to be honest. Would rather struggle along without him. You don't know what his wife posted on Instagram. She posted a picture of all his trophies, just to sort of reiterate the point that he's had a glittering career. And she's probably saying he's a good player, don't throw him under the bus. The trouble we've got with the whole Casemiro dialogue is it's getting a bit OTT. Now, that might sound slightly hypocritical when I'm talking about him, but again, my job, as I often remind you guys, is to report what is being reported. It is getting a bit much. And I just wonder whether it's like becoming a bit of a sort of circus. Everything is about Casemiro. There's deeper problems than just Casemiro. Let's not forget as well. I know that I personally think the game was lost in that first half, but in the second half, he didn't even play. Yes, Collier came in and he's a youngster and he probably shouldn't be playing in a game like that. But we still didn't score. We still conceded goals or a goal. So it's not like Casemiro going out fixed everything. So we've still got issues there. And I think the lack of goals, you can't put that down to Casemiro. How many goals have we scored this season? What is it, 2? So there is issues there bigger or deeper than just one player, just Casemiro. However, you do have to address that issue. If it was up to me, if I'd stick my neck out and make a decision, I probably wouldn't let him go out on loan just because I think he's so short of options. You're going to rely on him at some point, even if it's just the cup games, if it's just Europa League. That's not really great for a player of Casemiro's quality or caliber or history or experience or whatever. But I just think it'd be risky. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the comments. Andrew A says, without bringing in Rabiot as well, Cass leaving is idiotic. Collier simply cannot be his replacement. I get that. That's not a criticism of Toby Collier. The kid's never kicked a ball for Manchester United in the first team in a competitive game until Sunday. So I don't think you can just go, well, he's back up to your guy. If your guy gets injured, United need another option. And I don't know if Casemiro is that guy. Let me know what you think. I want to know. Hit that like button as well. JB says, I think we need to start questioning Onana. I genuinely haven't seen an improvement on De Gea. De Gea was released because he was rubbish with his feet, but Onana is just as right with his. I did a quote tweeted a post by Scotty and Motty about Onana. It was a post by Scotty and Motty. It was me in the video saying that I was a little bit concerned about Onana because last season I backed him, saying that, I thought obviously he had a bit of a stinker in the Champions League, but I felt like he improved and he had a very good spell sort of towards the end of the season. There's still a few issues there, but I think he is a very good goalkeeper. And I think it takes time to settle in Manchester United, and people forget that, especially in a role of goalkeeper, which is the sort of the one position in the team where if you make a mistake, the opposition score, all eyes are on you, and you are replacing someone that had been in the club for what, 11 years or something. So the pressure was immense, and I thought he did relatively well. This season, though, I want to see him kicking on. I want to see him doing a little bit more, a little bit playing a little bit better. And the issue is, at times, he seems like he's regressed. I'm not giving up on Onana. I don't quite share the sentiment of he's not good enough, get rid, but he has to have a good season this season. He has to show something. Otherwise, I don't think you can give him a third season. So, not trying to be harsh on the kid, but let's be realistic here about what we've seen from Onana so far. Obviously, people point out the Salah goal wasn't great. His positioning was all over the gaff. I get that. My main concern as well is some of his distribution, which is what he's meant to be sort of excellent at. And we've seen it in the past, especially in Milan, unfortunately, rather than at Manchester United, hasn't been great. There was a couple of times in the Liverpool game where he played a ball, and I honestly don't know what was going on in his mind in terms of where he was trying to play it, because it kind of just went between two players who were both very far away from that ball. And that's what worries me. I'm thinking, what are you actually trying to do? Also, he held on to the ball a little bit longer. Just on the Liverpool game, it was an interesting tweet. I quoted it, and I'll be honest with you. I said, I'm not quite going along with this one, but it was, I think it was, let me just find it for you guys, because it's just an interesting point. You can have interesting points. So it's from Galazzo, and it's a guy called Ian Paul Joy, and he was pointing out about Anthony Taylor's positioning for that first goal, and he was saying that actually when Bruno's gone to play a ball, Anthony Taylor's in his way, so he's gone back to Casemiro, and then Manchester United lost it. And he said for the second goal, Casemiro, when he's looked ahead to go and play the ball to Joshua Zirkzee, Anthony Taylor again is in his way. I'll be honest with you, I think it feels proper sour grapes to sit here after a 3-0 loss and try and blame the referee. And not even blame his decisions, but blame his positioning. He's very Jurgen Klopp. Yeah? Oh, it was the referee's position that cost us that game. Had we lost 1-0, then and it was that one goal, and you look, well, actually, he got in the way. Maybe you can make a case. But we lost 3-0. We were second best on the day. I honestly think Liverpool probably could have stepped it up a little bit if they wanted to. So I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm blaming the referee. But I love people that can make a point that I don't necessarily agree with, but I can see their point of view. Like that, I can see what he's trying to say. He makes a case for it, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite there yet. I think we just have to hold our hands up and go, look, we weren't good enough. We weren't good enough with our finishing. We weren't good enough defensively. We lost the battle in midfield. It was a bit of a shambles, and Liverpool should not be coming to Old Trafford and winning 3-0. How often do we go to Anfield and win 3-0? Come on, man. That shouldn't be happening. And this isn't even, for me, a vintage Liverpool team. It's a good Liverpool team with good players, but I don't want to labour the point. I'm sick of talking about the Scousers. So let's just move on. Let's talk about this Arsenal goalkeeper we've signed. In fact, one sec. Just bear with me because I'm having a bit of a nightmare here with this whole thing. Oh, yeah, sorry. We've got a keeper who I think we signed just to laugh at my attempts to pronounce his name. Hubert Graschik has joined Manchester United from Arsenal. This is in the Metro again. It says Arsenal lose second academy star to Man United. Talented goalkeeper confirms switch. He's a 21-year-old. I think he went from Everton when he was around 14 to Arsenal, and then I think he left Arsenal. I think he was a free agent rather than we've poached him or anything like that. But he joins Kobbie Mainoo, Chido Kobbie Mainoo. If you remember, we got him from Arsenal as well. So we're sort of hoovering up some youngsters that were Arsenal or Arsenal youngsters. We also got the youngster, Seko Kone, who I think he's 17, 18, the midfielder as well. So United aren't just looking at first-team players and players that come into the team now. We're also looking at the future as well. I don't know a lot about this kid. I'm not going to pretend I do, just from what I can see online. He did a post on his socials saying, buzzing to have joined this massive club. Let's get to work. So he's saying the right things. We'll see what happens. It's always weird with goalkeepers, isn't it? Because they're so young that the keepers usually don't sort of break into the first team when De Gea was a bit of an outlier. Usually it's like mid-20s, if not a bit later. Look at Van der Sar, he was 35 when we bought him. So if you're a 21-year-old goalkeeper, the chances of you playing for Manchester United are slim. We've also got, of course, Andre Onana and Ali Bayande. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this kid. I hope he has a very bright future. Will Gerling, morning Jay, morning to you as well. David Thomas says Mazraoui can play defensive midfield. That's interesting. Could there be an option there? Playing someone else, maybe Mazraoui in that defensive midfield role. Doc Rock says, aloha, brother Jay. Aloha, my brother. I want to talk quickly, and I do mean quickly, because I can't be bothered giving him any more attention. Graham Sooner. Steve mentioned this, but I just wanted to quickly mention it. He's had a go at Kobbie Mainoo, hasn't he? says that he died at Hollywood FC. He basically said Kobbie Mainoo should be starting for Manchester United week in, week out. I don't understand the stick that Kobbie Mainoo gets. I'll never will. This is a player who made his Premier League debut less than a year ago. He made his Premier League debut in November, right? Started in November against Everton, and by the end of the season was playing in a Euros final, starting for England. That is phenomenal. That's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like that. And he's been one of Manchester United's best players during that spell, where he also was player of the match in the FA Cup final, scored in the FA Cup final, and helped Manchester United beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final. And yet people want to point at Kobbie Mainoo as part of the problem at Manchester United. No, he isn't. He's one of the few players we've got who ain't part of any problem. And you can look at reasons why Graham Souness might be singling out Kobbie Mainoo like he singled out Paul Pogba. I'll let you lot decide that. But I'm not having it. I am not having it. I'm not having any criticism of Kobbie Mainoo from bitter Scousers who weren't even that good anyway. Graham Souness was a good midfielder, but he weren't as good as Kobbie Mainoo. And what is it someone said online? Just some dusty baller. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure you are hitting that like button. If you've not done so already, go and check out all the other videos on the channel. Go and check out Howson versus 2. We're going to be back later on. We've got some videos coming up. We're going to have the girls coming in for that live that we do with Chelsea and with Lauren as well. Then later on this evening, it's going to be me and Joe for the late night show, Transfers Live. We'll be back to Paddock Live now, won't it? Because, well, you say the transfer window is closed, but it's not closed for some countries. Hence the reason Casemiro is being linked with a move to Galatasaray. So we'll see if there's any movement on that. We'll see if there's any other stories as well. And we'll have you covered on all things Manchester United related. I'm J. Moy. This has been the Paper Talk, and it's just started raining in not so sunny Salford. Thanks for watching.